What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. On this episode, I want to talk to you guys about the Torqeedo 1103 after owning it for 1 year. So, I am a real Torqeedo 1103 owner. I paid full price for this motor and battery and throttle. I'm not getting paid to do this video. This is a true honest review like I always do on my channel. So I sat down, and all these pros and cons are not going to be in any particular order. I'm also going to talk about some other motors and some other things as well. But after owning this motor for 1 year, I sat down and did the math. Based on my trips out, whether it's 1 or 3 times a week, I average about 15 to 20 miles per trip. So this is going to be lowballing it, but in this past year, I put over 1,100 miles on this motor. That's a lot of miles for a non-tournament fishing owner of this product. So I think I put it through its paces. So that's why I figured a 1 year review will be good. The cons of this motor is it's expensive. A lot of people can't afford it, don't want to spend the money, and I do get those comments every now and then on some of my other Torqeedo videos that it's overpriced, it's a waste of money. I can do it for a lot cheaper with a car battery and a cheap and expensive trolling motor. You're right, you can do it for a lot cheaper with a car battery and a trolling motor, but I guarantee you that trolling motor won't last you that long. You're gonna have to replace the batteries all the time, and it's not gonna be a true hands-free experience. If you take this hobby, this passion, if you're a tournament fisherman, the Torqeedo is worth the money because it's your true hands-free fishing experience, trouble-free on the water, as long as you maintain it properly. It's super easy to maintain. I will put that video at the end of this video of my maintenance video, and also Jeff Little has a video out there as well. It's the same thing. It takes 5 to 10 minutes, maybe depending on how much you use it. I do it every 3 months. I do the simple maintenance. I'm not gonna go over it right now in this video. Like I said, I have a separate video, but it takes 5 to 10 minutes of your time to keep this thing working flawlessly. The only thing I do recommend is a few things. Get a spare prop in case you break it and you're not stranded, but you want to take this prop off the motor, and it's only an 18mm socket. Take it off every 2 to 3 trips out and check behind the prop, because that's going to be the one thing that's going to fail on this motor is if you get fishing line or a bunch of weeds behind the prop and all that spinning all day, there's a seal behind this. And if that seal breaks, water is going to intrude into the motor and you're going to be out of a motor. It's not going to be covered under warranty because you didn't do it right. You didn't take care of it. So that is the biggest thing you want to do, and that's with any motor, is you always want to check behind the prop for fishing line and for a lot of weed buildup, etc. Because once you get water into any motor, no matter what brand it is, it's shot. It's garbage. You just wasted all that money. This motor, if you haven't been around Torqeedo, don't know much about it, there's a new version coming out here soon, which I have a video from this past year at ICAST. But this motor itself has a proprietary battery. It's GPS track. It tells you your distance readout on your throttle based on how many watts you're using. Basically how much you're matching that throttle down is how far you're going to go, and it's tracked. So it tells you based on using 500 watts you can go 15 miles, etc. And it gives you your speed readout as well. I have 2 batteries, but the initial cost of this motor, by the time you're done with tax, shipping, and everything else, you're looking at $3,000. It's a lot of money. I only fish, let me rephrase that, I fish all the time. But it's so hot down here in the south. Every time I'm on the water, I only spend 5 or 6 hours because it is so hot. I want to be out there, but I'm a lobster by the end of the day, and it's just hot, and it's not good to put your abuse to that body and you're fishing a tournament. But I bought 2 batteries, and for the reason, or I bought another battery. For that reason is because I want to get to spot A to B real quick and fish. I got 5 to 6 hours when it's hot, but during the spring and the fall, I'll spend 8, 9 hours. Just because of that reason, that's why I bought another battery. Now, if I just fished leisurely all the time and spent 8 or 9 hours, I could get away with 1 battery. I only want to be out there 5, 6 hours, so I want to get to point A, point B, so basically full throttle to the next spot, use that battery. I've only drained 1 battery completely down to like 3%, and I switched over. But a lot of times what I do, so I don't have to worry about it on my days, if I'm near an island or if I'm near the beach, when the battery's around 50-40%, I swap it to the other battery. And the good thing about having another battery is that if you do have a problem with one of your batteries, you have, which you shouldn't if you maintain it, but you never know, something could happen. At least you have a secondary battery to back you up to get you home. But I'll switch it out throughout the day just so I know that, okay, I got a new fresh battery, I can just keep mashing it and doing what I'm doing. But I've never drained this battery except for one time, and I was done for the day anyway. So you really can get away with one battery, but I like having two just to have that feeling, because when you're far away from the ramp, at least you know you have another battery just in case you do drain one and you're having a great time and don't want to come home right away. So, but you know, you just watch your level on your throttle, and for most of you out there, one battery would be sufficient. But I do recommend another battery. But once again, the battery itself is like, I think $800 or $900. So between that and the innovative Sportsman rock guard, I got $4,000 invested into this, and I'm going to tell you, it's really worth it. So this rock guard protects your front of your motor housing, it protects your skeg, and I will say it will somewhat protect your prop. But the main thing is this, is if you're banging against stumps, especially rocks, if you break the front of the housing, even though the housing is strong, you get water in it, once again you're ruined. So this investment here of the innovative Sportsman rock guard is worth it as well. You can see I got some, you know, after a year, I don't have too much scrapage, and I still have most of the paint on there, but it's aluminum anyway, so it's not a big deal. So it's worth that investment, and it also has a built-in line cutter, weed cutter at the top, which prevents a lot of that stuff getting behind your prop to begin with. And as you see, you can probably see the sweat on me. I'm going to wipe the sweat off my head now. So it's hot down here, so I wanted to have that second battery. The only problems I've had with this itself, and it's not even the motor has been flawless, so I don't have any cons about the motor except for the price. The maintenance is super simple on it, but the way I have it supported, or way I have it mounted to my new canoe is utilizing the new canoe setup. So it's not your standard Torqeedo with your 2-foot, you know, steering cables. This is just 1 foot that goes to like a steel cable that runs, and everything's mounted on the track on the new canoe. That's why it's great, and it's an easy setup for anybody to do it themselves, is that it compresses around the shaft. And you can see here I got black Gorilla Tape on the actual shaft itself, and that's because the shaft itself is aluminum. The mount from new canoe is a hard plastic, so it just compresses around that shaft to hold it in the steering mechanism. So the torque of this motor being at 3 horsepower, it does tend to get off centered. So, you know, your props here, my mounts here, I can actually see it's off a little bit again because I can see the tape actually bunching up. So the torque of this motor does spin around on the shaft, you know, from the new canoe setup. So that's the only other con, is the way I'm using it. Now, if you use the Torqeedo, you won't have that, you know, the Torqeedo mount on any other kayak, you won't have that problem. But that's a very small, minute problem. And my fix for that, because the Gorilla Tape ain't working, is probably get that hockey tape, or even the tape I use on my golf clubs that's a little bit more tackier, and probably put that on the shaft, and that'll prevent that plastic piece from getting really out of, you know, true out of line. It's not a big deal when it happens. You know, I'll be pedaling, you know, I'll be fishing, and I'll notice my foot's forward a little bit more on the pedal from new canoe itself, which I'm going to throw that video at the end of this video too, the install on my new canoe unlimited and the maintenance video. Foot itself, that I'm a little bit more forward, so I can just turn behind and say, oh yeah, you know, to go straight, my motor's sitting like this. It looks like it's sitting like that, but the propeller's sitting straight, but the top part of where it mounts to my kayak from the new canoe thing is just turned a little bit. So I know it's time for me to loosen the nuts up. Even though they're nylon, it still kind of moves on that. The nuts don't get loose, it's just so much torque. But I know I loosen up the nuts and I'll straighten that back out. Not a big deal. And man, I am sweating, guys. Sorry about that. That's really the only con. The new improvements on the new Torqeedo itself is the color screen, more of a beefier cable, a strain relief, because some people have had problems, and I try to take care of my stuff very well when I pack it away at the end of the day. You know, you got a strain relief on here on the new one, the cable's beefier, and a lot of people have some error codes pop up because, you know, the wires are getting like a little pulled, a little stretched. You'll get some error codes. I think it's either 30 or 36, like E on the throttle itself. And a lot of people will also too, you got 2 separate cables. You got to do your throttle, your motor, this is your charging port, and if they don't line them up properly with the indentation on the cables, some people cross thread it, bend the little pins on the connection, etc. So Torqeedo, what they did on the new one is that it's just one connection, and then it branches off for your throttle and then to your motor. So the one connection, they're trying to improve their motors, and the cost is only like $100 more, I think, for the new one. And I think it's out, but they're just improving the batteries. They're making 2 larger batteries, so probably the new one will last most of you, probably even include myself, but I'm not going to replace this until I break it. You know, the new batteries from the new setup will probably last you, you only need 1. Now, yes, it's expensive, and people say they can do it for cheaper. I could take a shaft, weld a propeller to it, put it in a cordless drill, and do the same thing, but once again, you're not going to get the distance. You're not going to have true hands-free fishing, and if you take this sport, this hobby, this passion serious, this is worth the investment. Now, Newport Vessel has a version of this, basically copycatted it. Unfortunately, right down to a T almost. It just has a green propeller, but everything else looks the same, which is pretty wrong in my opinion, but you know, it is what it is. This is where the Torqeedo shines over every other motor. There is other saltwater rated motors out there, but compared to the Newport vessel, this is true stainless steel internals to it. The Newport vessel is not true stainless steel. Now they've changed it since I've heard the gossip about it. It's not true stainless steel internals. So if you use it in salt, over time it's going to corrode and you're going to have a failed motor. It saves you like $1,000, but to me it's not worth it. Just save up, wait if you can. You got Motor Guide out there. If you like the bow mounted. Bow mounted is nice too. You don't get the speed like you do with the Torqeedo or the Newport, but it's still not true hands-free fishing. You know, you got to sit there with the remote and everything else. You do have spot lock. Sometimes when the wind's really strong, because we're just sitting on a piece of plastic, or if the current's really strong, sometimes that spot lock doesn't even hold you anyway. And a lot of people have been standing up in their kayaks fishing just like a bass boat, and they'll hit that spot lock. You know, they marked it over here, but they drifted, and that thing will just whip you back, and it's throwing people out of their kayaks when they're standing. So you got to watch with that too. You know, if you're going to do spot lock, you may want to stay seated the whole time. So there's a lot of other options out there that are cheaper. They're not drastically that much cheaper. I've had the Bixby in the past. The Bixby works okay, but as a standalone just motor with not, you know, like I had it on my Hobie, so I had the fins and the motor. It works great. It lasted me all day, but I was using those fins as well. If you use the the Bixby just by itself, runtime, they've got a bigger battery now, but when I had the battery I had, runtime on high was only 80 minutes and I was only doing 3.5 miles per hour. It's a great alternative if you don't do this a lot and you get out every now and then. Just like the Newport, if you're not going to be in salt water, you may be fine. I know people who've had the Newport, brand new Newport 180 Pro, had it for 3 trips out or 3 days, and they had the Newport battery and the motor, so it was a combo kit, and they're already started getting error codes like over voltage. I mean, I don't know. It just wouldn't make me want to get it. I'd rather have the more expensive setup because you do get, you get what you pay for. It's just a cheaper motor. People said that they have it too. They got the Torqeedo and they say the Newport is cheaper and cheaper feeling and looks cheaper. From a distance, it looks the same, and it looks like it's the same motor as the Torqeedo with a green prop. Whatever. It's not a bad motor, but I do a lot of salt water. I do a lot of fresh water, and I just want to have something that's going to last me. Now, I know somebody who's had this motor since it came out, had it the whole time, same battery, thing's still working. So just like I said to my wife the other day, all the years we've spent $50, $40 on non-stick frying pans, how many of those do you go through a year? Instead of just spending maybe $500 on a really good pan and taking care of it like I would my motor. So over the course of 23 years I've known my wife, we probably spent thousands of dollars on $50 pans when you could have just spent maybe $1,000 on 2 good pans and you would still be using them. So, it all depends how you look at it. Depends what you can afford. I've had people bash me, or not bash me, but bash Torqeedo saying they're a waste of money on other videos. They're overpriced. There's a lot of research and development that goes into these, and you gotta get your costs back. I mean, Torqeedo, their main thing is not kayaks, is more like, bigger, larger motors and powering larger vessels. They got bought out by Yamaha. People says, oh, they must be struggling because they got bought out, Torqeedo got bought out by Yamaha. It may be a good thing for us as a consumer, and maybe it's a bad thing. I don't know. Now, Motor Guide, I heard that ICAS is not making their current motor setup, so it's going to be like a year before they come out with a new one. So they may lose some business to Garmin. Now, Garmin has, or Torqeedo or Newport. People who don't want to wait or can't wait, they may say, well, screw Motor Guide, I'm going to get one of the other style motors. But Garmin came out with a shorter shaft trolling motor, which I've had out the move, which is a great trolling motor for boats. Now they have a shorter shaft for kayaks. It's $5,000. It's super strong. It's powerful. It's a lot heavier than the Motor Guide. I know somebody who has a Unlimited now and is testing it, and he said he's having no problems with it, but his speeds, we're waiting to hear back all his speeds, but I guarantee he's gonna be doing faster than what I do with my Torqeedo. But it's a larger investment. It's heavier than Motor Guide, so it may not work with every kayak out there. It may work with the new Bonafide XTR that can handle a little bit more weight up front. I don't know. I'll probably never have those because I like a stern mounted motor because of the fact that it's in the back. A lot of times I'll run up onto stumps, rocks, oyster beds. I hit it with the front of my kayak. I rather scratch or put a hole in my kayak, which is a lot cheaper to replace than replacing my motor. So I really like the motor in front of me. It's cool having the spot lock, but I still like my stern mounted motors. So overall, it's worth the investment. I know it's tough. It's a large chunk of change to put out, but if you take this hobby, you're a tournament fisherman, and you take this serious and you want to have a true fun experience on the water as a kayak fisherman, the Torqeedo is worth the money, guys. I mean, I wouldn't tell you that if it wasn't true. If you can't afford it, man, just wait as long as you can to save up for it and get the Torqeedo, especially the new one coming out. I have motor envy on that one, but I'm not going to go drop another $3,000 on a new version of it until I break this one. And who knows what's going to happen. You know, hopefully this thing lasts me for 5, 6, 7, maybe even 10 years, especially with having 2 batteries, who knows. But I'm not going to replace this one until I damage it or it gets stolen or whatever. It's really worth it. There's no cons to it. You'll probably hear people say that they have issues with it, and I think that's either because they're cross-threading it. They may have a faulty motor, but if it's within that 1 year period or whatever their warranty, I think it's 1 year on this, they'll take care of you. Don't worry about it. But you know, I'm sure there's people out there that's had problems with this motor, just like everything else, like trucks and cars. But I think a lot of it is user error, not taking care of it, not, you know, just being gentler with it, not throwing it into the bed of your truck and, you know, damaging the cable, etc. Make sure things are tight on it. You know, every now and then go through it and just take care of it, and it's going to take care of you, and you're going to really enjoy the time on the water. When I'm on the water, I don't even think about it. When I'm fishing with the new canoe setup with just having 1 foot, I just fish along the bank like I have a trolling motor, and I don't even think about this motor ever not working on me. I'm sure I'll have signs, hopefully, that it just won't stop on me, but if it does, it does. I'll have to paddle back. But I don't worry about it that, oh man, is this thing gonna crap out on me today? So it's really worth it, guys. I mean, drop some comments. Let me know what kind of experience you've had with Torqeedo. Everybody I know that tournament fishes or has been in this industry even longer than me, most of them run Torqeedo. Yes, some of them get the Torqeedo given to them, so, you know, it's a given. But everybody I know, for the most part, that's around me, that takes a serious or a tournament fisher, run the Torqeedo, and that's for a reason, guys. You know, Newport, I'm hoping they improve their motor, because who knows, maybe they'll get better than Torqeedo one day, and then I'll make a swap, you know, a swap or switch. So, you know, for right now, I'm running the Torqeedo till I break it. You know, just like everything else, fishing equipment, gear, etc., just keeps improving as our market, you know, as the market keeps getting stronger, even though right now they're saying the kayak market's a little softer. You know, after the COVID thing, everybody got over the whole, you know, I'm trapped in my house and everybody's back to work. So a lot of people don't care about kayak fishing as much, but there's a lot of people who still own boats that are saying, oh, I want to make the switch. And it's a lot cheaper. Even though you see this cost of the motor, it's still a lot cheaper than owning a boat. And when people say, oh, you should just buy a boat. Well, if you look in the dictionary, all the, you know, gossip out there, oh, you should just buy a boat. A kayak is a boat. Look in the dictionary. It's a floating vessel that's under power or whatever. It's a boat. It's my version of a boat, and people who kayak fish over owning a boat want to do it. It's not that we can't afford a boat. We want to be in a kayak because we enjoy it. It's a totally different experience, and it's really enjoyable. It's not for everybody. Some people may hate it completely. You know, my videos, I go all over the place, but I just kind of want to, I just want to kind of cover everything. There isn't nothing bad to talk about the Torqeedo, for me at least. Other people may have experiences on it that are bad. I wanted to cover, you know, some other things, my mount, other motors on the market, the things that I do know. Hopefully things improve and all motors get better. And maybe over time, like I said, all these motors will get a little cheaper as the market keeps getting bigger for motors for kayaks. But there's nothing bad to talk about this motor as of yet. If I have any problems, I'll let you know. If Torqeedo takes care of it, or if it was self-inflicted, I'll let you know. But there's nothing bad to talk about this motor, at least for me. I love it. I don't think about it having issues when I'm on the water, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I love my Hobie, but being I'm getting older, that's why I got the motor, and that's why I stick with the new canoe, because I like being motorized. It's so much faster. You can spend more time on the water, because during the spring and the fall, I will spend those 8, 9, 10 hours on the water. And being I'm fishing a little bit slower, I can probably get away with 1 battery, but I like having 2 batteries. Nothing wrong with having more power, right guys? So that's it. I could keep talking about this and repeat myself 20 times on my review videos like I always do, but you know, I know people jump around in the video. I just want to make sure everybody hears what I want to say about it, in my opinion. Once again, a review on YouTube, just like anything else, is an opinion. Some people could have a horrible experience with Torqeedo and hate it. It's just my opinion. What experiences I've had with it, I've had no problems with it, except for the new canoe mount, which is a very minute thing. I'm sure they'll keep changing things and adapt as time goes on too, but it's just an easy fix with some tape, some sticky tape, duct tape, Gorilla tape, it works. It's not a big deal. Who knows if I'll ever change a tape. Keep thinking about it, but you know, if this keeps straightening it back out, it's not a big deal. So that's it, guys. Hope you guys like this review. Like I said before, if you have any questions, any comments, drop them, you know, below. Tell me your experience with them. Tell me if you're looking to buy one. I don't have a discount code to give anybody, but I mean, you know, if you have people in the industry, just ask around. You maybe they'll get a discount code. And that's it, guys. I mean, it's just a motor that everybody's running. So not saying you have to, but it's definitely worth saving up for, guys. So drop me a comment. Tell me what your thoughts are. Tell me what you think. As always, be safe on the water, and I'll catch you in the water. I'm gonna go cool down because the sweat's just dripping off me, guys. So I appreciate all you guys stopping by. Catch you soon.